Money enters your life and disappears. You are not broke. You are structurally open. You work, you earn, you deposit. And still, nothing accumulates. The number changes. The pressure does not. That is not poverty. That is leakage. If money cannot stay with you, it will serve someone else. You do not have an income problem. You have a containment problem. Most people believe wealth is about earning more. It isn't. Wealth is about holding. If your money leaves faster than it compounds, you are financing someone who can hold it. The system does not need you poor. It needs you circulating, and circulation feels like progress. Until you realize nothing stays. That difference explains everything. Income feels logical. Circulation always does. But logic without retention creates extraction. You work. Money moves. Nothing stays. That is not progress. That is design. But income is not retention. Higher earnings increase cash flow. They do not increase cash control. When your salary doubles, your lifestyle expands. When lifestyle expands, your obligations multiply. More income means more decisions. More decisions mean more leaks. The promotion comes with a company car. Your income rises. Your freedom does not. You think you are climbing. You are actually circulating faster. High earners often carry more debt than low earners, because access to credit scales with income, and credit feels like opportunity. Until you realize credit is pre-spent future earnings. You are borrowing against tomorrow to pay for today. Tomorrow arrives with interest attached. The cycle accelerates. Income growth becomes obligation growth. You earn more to service more. The net effect remains the same, or worse, because higher income brackets face different taxation structures. Wage earners get taxed first. Asset owners get taxed last. The system extracts from circulation. It protects accumulation. Your W-2 gets dissected before you see it. Federal taxes, state taxes, Social Security, Medicare. What remains enters your account already reduced. Then comes the second layer of extraction: rent or mortgage, utilities, transportation, food. The baseline survival costs claim their share. What survives baseline gets allocated to discretionary spending. Discretionary feels like choice. But discretionary spending follows predictable patterns. Status consumption. The clothes that signal professional competence. The car that communicates reliability. The home that reflects achievement. Each purchase feels necessary, because status maintenance is a real expense in a reputation economy. But status assets depreciate. They consume value while appearing to create it. Your BMW looks impressive in the parking lot. It loses 12% of its value the moment you drive it home. Your wardrobe project's success. It becomes outdated before it wears out. Your home appreciates, but only if you can avoid upgrading when your income rises. Most cannot resist the upgrade cycle, because lifestyle inflation operates like gravity. It pulls spending toward income level, automatically, without conscious decision. You do not wake up planning to spend more. You wake up with access to more. Access becomes permission. Permission becomes habit. Habit becomes structure. Structure becomes prison. The subscription model weaponizes this principle. Small monthly charges that accumulate into significant annual drains. Each one feels affordable in isolation. Together, they create a fixed cost base that grows independent of usage. The subscription economy converts your cash flow into recurring revenue streams. For someone else, every subscription is a small leak. Small leaks compound into structural failure. The taxation gap between wages and capital creates another systematic drain. Wage income gets taxed at ordinary rates, up to 37% at federal level, plus state taxes where applicable, plus payroll taxes. The effective rate can exceed 45%. Capital gains get taxed at preferential rates, 0% for low brackets, 15% for middle brackets, 20% maximum for high brackets. The system penalizes earning through effort. It rewards earning through ownership, but ownership requires accumulated capital. Accumulated capital requires containment. Containment requires resisting circulation. The wage earner circulates by design. The capital owner accumulates by structure. Different rules create different outcomes. Emotional spending cycles amplify the leakage problem. Stress spending, celebration spending, boredom spending, social spending. Each emotional state triggers financial outflow. The triggers are predictable. The spending feels spontaneous. But spontaneous spending follows emotional patterns. Patterns can be mapped. Mapped patterns can be exploited. Marketing systems understand your emotional spending triggers better than you do. They create environments designed to activate those triggers. Retail therapy exists because emotional discomfort creates purchasing impulses. Online shopping removes friction from those impulses. One-click purchasing eliminates the pause that could prevent the transaction, the pause that could save your money, the pause that could preserve your containment. The time for money trap creates the deepest structural leak. Because time is finite, money earned through time has natural limits: hours per day, days per week, weeks per year, years per career. The mathematics cap your potential, no matter how hard you work, no matter how much you earn per hour. Time-based income cannot compound beyond time availability. Asset-based income compounds beyond your time investment. Assets work while you sleep. They multiply without your direct involvement. They create income streams that outlive your ability to work. But building assets requires capital. Capital requires saving. Saving requires spending less than you earn. Spending less than you earn requires containment. Most people reverse the sequence. They try to earn their way to wealth, instead of containing their way to accumulation. Earning without containment feeds someone else's accumulation system. Your spending becomes their revenue. Your rent becomes their equity. Your interest payments become their investment returns. The landlord accumulates property. You accumulate rental receipts. The bank accumulates your interest. You accumulate loan balances. The corporation accumulates your subscription payments. You accumulate access privileges that disappear when payments stop. The pattern repeats across every financial relationship. You provide circulation. They provide containment. Your money flows to their systems. Their systems convert flow into ownership. Ownership creates control. Control creates more ownership. The cycle compounds in their favor. If your money leaves faster than it compounds, you are financing someone else's control, because it reframes every financial decision. Every purchase becomes a choice between your accumulation and someone else's. Every payment becomes a transfer of future power. Every subscription becomes a recurring diminishment of your potential. The system operates on circulation dependency. It needs your money moving. Moving money generates fees. Fees generate revenue. Revenue generates profits. Profits generate ownership. Ownership generates control. Control generates more profit opportunities. The cycle requires your participation. But your participation is voluntary, even when it feels mandatory, even when it feels necessary, even when it feels unavoidable. Containment breaks the cycle, not by increasing income, by decreasing outflow. Money accumulates in the gap between inflow and outflow. Widen the gap by controlling outflow, not by maximizing inflow. Inflow has limits. Outflow has none. You can spend infinitely more than you earn. Credit makes infinite spending possible. Debt makes infinite spending normal. Normalization makes infinite spending feel responsible. Responsible spending that accumulates to irresponsible totals. The structure determines the outcome, not the intention, not the effort, not the intelligence. Structure. Open systems leak, closed systems accumulate. Money flows toward the most contained vessel. Your vessel's containment quality determines your financial destiny. Containers have walls. Walls require maintenance. Maintenance requires vigilance. Vigilance requires understanding the forces that create leaks. Some leaks are obvious: overspending, impulse purchases, lifestyle inflation. Other leaks are structural: taxation asymmetries, depreciation, inflation erosion. The structural leaks are more dangerous because they appear legitimate. They feel unavoidable. They seem like natural costs of living. But legitimacy does not prevent leakage. Unavoidability does not prevent accumulation elsewhere. Natural costs still transfer your potential to someone else's reality. The transfer happens whether you notice it or not, whether you accept it or not, whether you understand it or not. Understanding creates options. Options create control. Control creates containment. Containment creates accumulation. Accumulation creates ownership. Ownership creates freedom. The sequence is predictable. But most people enter the sequence at the wrong point. They seek freedom through earning. Freedom comes through owning. Owning comes through accumulating. Accumulating comes through containing. Containing comes through understanding structural forces. Understanding comes through recognizing leakage patterns. Recognition requires honest assessment. Honest assessment reveals uncomfortable truths. Your spending is not random. It is patterned. Your income does not determine wealth. Your structure does. The system does not profit from your success. It profits from your movement, and movement feels like progress. Until you realize nothing is staying. Willpower depletes. Structure persists. Structure creates outcomes that persist beyond motivation, beyond emotion, beyond good intentions, beyond bad intentions. Structure operates independent of your psychological state. Market forces do not care about your feelings. Economic gravity does not bend to your wishes. Financial physics follows mathematical rules. Math does not negotiate. Money compounds in containers. Effort exhausts in open systems. The system does not need you poor. It needs you circulating. Circulation feels productive. Containment creates power. Most people mistake circulation for progress. The money moves. The activity feels meaningful. The numbers change. But nothing accumulates. Progress without accumulation is sophisticated spinning. Motion without advancement. Activity without achievement. The hamster wheel generates tremendous effort. It produces zero forward movement. Financial circulation operates on the same principle: maximum effort, minimum advancement. The energy flows towards systematic extraction, not personal accumulation. Your energy becomes someone else's asset. Your time becomes someone else's equity. Your money becomes someone else's investment capital. The transfer is legal, it is voluntary, it is socially accepted, it is economically logical. From their perspective, from your perspective, it is wealth transfer, ongoing, systematic, predictable, preventable. But prevention requires recognition. Recognition requires uncomfortable honesty. Honesty about control. Honesty about structure. Honesty about where your money actually goes. Honesty about why it goes there. Honesty about who benefits from its movement. Honesty about the difference between necessary and conditioned spending. Most spending feels necessary because conditioning creates necessity perception. Perception creates behavioral patterns. Behavioral patterns create structural outcomes. Structural outcomes create wealth. For someone, the question is not whether wealth gets created. The question is who accumulates it. Your circulation creates wealth. Someone else's containment captures it. The mathematics are precise. The outcome is predictable. The solution is structural. Ownership is not about ego. It is about retention. Retention requires containment. Containment requires walls. Walls require maintenance. Maintenance requires vigilance. Vigilance requires understanding. Understanding reveals the forces working against containment. Those forces are not accidental. They are systematic. They operate continuously. They target circulation psychology. They weaponize social pressure. They exploit emotional triggers. They capitalize on convenience preferences. They monetize habit formation. They convert your cash flow into their revenue stream. The conversion is sophisticated. It feels voluntary. It appears beneficial. It seems unavoidable. But voluntariness is engineered. Benefits are asymmetric. Avoidability exists in the gap between circulation and containment. That gap represents your financial future. Narrow the gap through increased earnings. The gap closes temporarily. Lifestyle inflation reopens it, usually wider than before. Narrow the gap through decreased outflow. The gap remains narrow. Accumulation begins. Accumulation compounds. Compounding creates ownership. Ownership creates control. Control creates more ownership opportunities. The cycle reverses. Instead of financing someone else's control, you build your own. Instead of circulating toward their accumulation, you retain toward yours. Instead of working to pay, you own to receive. The shift is structural, not psychological, not motivational, not inspirational, structural. If you cannot hold money, you will always serve the one who can.